Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. We are here with your program Islam in the Contemporary World, and today we will discuss about a beautiful topic regarding our social issues and problems. Let's see how can we play a vital role for the promotion of the society, and how can we address the serious issues which are occurring around us. And we really want to get rid of all these problems, but how can we do it? Naturally, we would need intellectual guidance and guidance from Quran and Sunnah. So the intellectual and scholars from such criteria or specified way of subject would be very important personalities, and they would be giving you a new sense of understanding according to the convenience and requirement of the society. In past, they are known as Ghazali, Farabi, Mawardi, Rushd, Sina, and the contemporary Muslim scholars, the most familiar or well-known name from subcontinent for the world is Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayh. Let's see what we can do for a true and genuine solution regarding our problems. In this connection, we have a different topic for today's discussion. It's about Islam and our responsibilities. What is Islam? Naturally, everybody knows about Islam. Even non-Muslims, they are very much interested to know, and anxiously they are trying to understand the message of peace and tolerance from Islamic world. And this world means from intellectual to intellectual, from a normal or ordinary person to another ordinary and normal person of the community. So this may be called as intercultural communication or intellectual communication between these communities. Let's see what is our responsibilities. This is just only to live in this world, die without any performance, or Islam or Quran and Sunnah expects something more to understand how to promote Quranic message in the world. My dear brothers and sisters, this is not only a discussion, this is a viable dynamic of the community to understand how we can promote brotherhood in the world, and how can we go for the realities and thresh out the problems which are giving us another way of thinking. This may be stereotype from that world which haven't gone through the realities, because the non-Muslim world, they don't understand what is a true message of Quran. But how about a Muslim world? Are we the people who recite Quran daily? Are we the same people who understand Quran daily? Or at least we try to understand by your own, or with the help of your intellectuals or scholars of the community who are noted for their pioneer work of Islamic services or Muslim services, or at least they can tell you a single word from Quran and Sunnah, and then you would say, yeah, we understood, and now we are following these words, or only a single tradition of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, "Ballighu anni walau kana ayah." This is a sign of understanding. This is a sign of obedience. This is a sign of responsibilities. That's why we have invited very important personalities who would be discussing about Islam and our responsibilities. Let's see. The first personality regarding the subject, he is a renowned scholar. He is a senior professor of Department of Theology, and he is noted for his work of his own discipline as well as community services. I mean Professor Dr. Waqar Hussain. Professor Dr. Waqar Hussain, we welcome you in our program Islam in the Contemporary World.
Thank you very much.
And Our second guest for the program is another renowned, well-known scholar. You would be watching him so many times, and this is our really opportunity to have him here. And he is a great religious scholar. His contribution for the subject is very important for us because he is a person who has knowledge about Islam. I mean, Mr. Shujauddin Sheikh. We welcome you, Mr. Shujauddin Sheikh Sahab, in our program.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.
Welcome. So, my dear brothers and sisters, this was a slight introduction of our guest. Let's begin with a question. But question is very simple. You might be thinking about the question, but we may be promoting your question being attorney of your feelings. Let's see how Dr. Waqar Hussain is thinking about responsibilities. So responsibilities, everybody say, okay, I'm talking about, or I need my rights and I need sort of facilities of the society, or I must be facilitated by the government or by the community or by others. But how about the responsibilities?
Yes, as a Muslim, I would like to say one thing, that as a Muslim, we have been taught that we should be honest, we should have character, we should care for our neighbors, we should care for the humanity as such. Because these are the preachings of the Islam and taught by Quran, by Hadith, and the life of the Huzur Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if we adopt these tenets of Islam, so nobody is going to criticize us, and it is sure that we are going to progress in every walk of life. We by doing, as people say that the honesty is the best policy, every standard quotation is that money is lost, nothing is lost, health is lost, something is lost, and character is lost, everything is lost.
Yeah.
So the main thing is the character building. And the character building, in a very bold and clear way, has been taught by only Islam. Because if you see the honesty, the tolerance,
justice, relationship among
because
people.
If you see that if some sections of the population they cry for something, so that means this if they even shout to express their point or to make their point clear, it is very obvious that means that there is injustice. Because of that they are doing it.
Yeah.
And what we see in after this fall of this Muslim empire, what you call, and then the Europeans were in dark ages, and now the Europeans have they have risen, the Americans and the Europeans. The reason behind them looks that they are practicing on the tenets of Islam, in the sense that they are caring for the weak, they are giving dolls to the unemployed, they are ensuring justice for their population, they are ensuring equal opportunities for their population. The example is Switzerland. 3 communities are there: French, German, this, Swiss, and all equal opportunities are there. The country is most peaceful, one of the peaceful countries in the world. So, if we forget these lessons, the concept of zakat is a welfare state. The first concept was given by Islam.
So even you're referring to the financial system of Islam.
Yes, financial
system of Islam is very important and very strong.
Yes.
And during the period of Holy Prophet ﷺ, and even after Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu, when he was there, according to Allama Shibani rahmatullah ta'ala alayh and Qadi Abu Yusuf and other scholars of Muslim world, they mentioned that the people, like when you refer to needy people,
yes.
So you would see, is there any comparison between?
One thing, the concept of the governance was given by the Khulafa Rashidin.
MashaAllah.
Exactly. Because I think in 1936, Mahatma Gandhi was asked that how you will run the independent India. Then he quoted that I cannot quote from Bhagavad Gita, I cannot quote from Ramayana, but I can quote that the passed by the Khulafa Rashidin as governors.
MashaAllah.
So,
MashaAllah.
That is the governance in real sense is a supporting the weaker people. So if you don't, the meaning of the governance is that you have to support, you have to uplift the weaker sections.
Dr. Waqar, I think Islam is not only just to go for theories or repetition of words or saying, oh, we were like that, or we had opportunities and we did this and that. So just keeping yourself in the pages of history, this is not Islam.
No.
Coming out from that, even today, you see the successful nations, as you mentioned Switzerland,
Yes.
I would mention the welfare state like Canada or other states from non-Muslim world. What is the top secret of their success? Their success is that still, even today, their researchers are involved in serious researches, and they are getting all these things from Islam.
And I would like to mention one thing more.
Yeah,
The religion of Sikhism is greatly influenced by Islam, and this is a religion came after Islam. They have got the very vibrant community welfare system, and that is based on 2.5% given by their of their income to the community. You can see their gurdwaras. They are vibrant places for quality food. Every traveler is given.
We would be continuing this, and
Yes.
I would love to have some comments from Mr. Shujauddin Sheikh Sahab, and naturally he is a religious scholar. How do you see or take the term of responsibilities? It is open, because I am not talking about Islamic or Muslim responsibilities or other, but being an individual of the community. How do you see this term?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, thank you, Jazakallah Khair, for inviting me in your program.
You're more than welcome.
And Alhamdulillah, today our topic is Islam and our responsibilities.
Sure.
First of all, the word Islam has to be understood. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with us, the teachings of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which clearly define what does Islam mean, basically. Today we have a very limited concept of Islam. Just performing 5 times prayer, maybe, or maybe having some rituals, and at that time of rituals we are going to the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following the same at that time. But this is not total Islam. Islam, it does give the basic faith, it does give the modes of worship, it does provide the rituals, it does provide the economic system, political system, social system, economic system, judiciary, education, you name it, and Islam is there basically. Literally, Islam means submitting your will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, surrendering yourself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Muslim, by default, he has to submit his will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot say that Allah is our deity for 2 hours and not for 22 hours. We cannot say this. Likewise, we cannot say we would follow Islam for 2 hours a day and not 22 hours. We have to be a Muslim 24 hours a day, whether we are in the masjid.
Let me mention Quranic ayah, and naturally it would refer to your statement, Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa.
Excellent. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 208.
Exactly. If you want to enter into the system, into the real, true and genuine, successful life, then you will have to accept that you are submitting yourself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by all means.
Exactly.
And there is no diplomacy, there is nothing to hide.
Exactly.
Believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolute authority, that is wahdaniyat.
Exactly.
And then love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a second component of Islam.
Exactly.
So while there is balance of life between these two, and you promote yourself coming out from that scenario in front of non-Muslims or Muslims, then you become a role model for others.
And you have the better society in this world. Exactly. So Islam means to submit your will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as you mentioned rightly, this is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 208. Enter into Islam completely. There cannot be division between something and other thing. There cannot be division. Oh, fine, we would follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the individual life, but when it comes to education or judiciary or economic system or political, we would find that we are just following our own wishes. This is not allowed in Islam.
We see in the history of thought.
Exactly.
In the history of thought means Muslim history as well as the Western world. We see there Marsigli of Padua, and the other is Saint Thomas Aquinas. So Marsigli of Padua is fighting for the secular thought, because he says that like 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours has been specified for my worship or for the spiritual things or spiritual activities or commitment.
Exactly.
But the rest of the time would be secular, because I'm an individual, I would enjoy my life. And Saint Thomas Aquinas is saying, no, life is for spirituality. So we don't see such things in Islam.
We have the balance there.
While we talk of Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanafi, just you name any school of thought, Alhamdulillah, these scholars, they believe, and this is Islam, that whatever you follow, but you have to follow oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is Tawheed, prophecy, and there is no privacy, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you all the time.
He is with you wherever you are.
Exactly. So please go ahead.
So the next thing is following the commandments of Allah and His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you mentioned, 11 times in the Quran it is mentioned Ati'ullaha wa Ati'ur Rasul. Like in Surah Taghamun, ayat number 12, it is mentioned, follow the commandments of Allah and follow the commandments of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Islam is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. It provides guidelines for the whole life. Like when it comes to marriage or death or the birth of a child or the education or the judiciary, you have the whole life teaching basically. The next point,
and I think this has been admitted not by only Muslim community or Muslim society.
Exactly.
This has been admitted by non-Muslim world as well.
As sir has mentioned.
Yeah,
Dr.
Bakar has mentioned.
Gandhi ji had to give the examples of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anh, Hazrat Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala, but not had to admit that in the next century, the system that would prevail in Britain and all over the world would be Islam or something near to Islam. You mentioned about Canada, sir mentioned about the social welfare activities in the western side. The Scandinavian countries, we have the social welfare system over there, social welfare states over there. But we all know the people who gave the idea of social welfare in those countries, they admit the idea was given by Hazrat Abu Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala an. They have the employment allowances, unemployment allowances, etc., etc. This was first initiated by Hazrat Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala.
I must mention that Islam has a complete political economy, and it has socialization, the norms. And while we correlate political economy and your social norms, then you see a successful model. Even today, we refer to Max Weber, we refer to David Easton or Almond, being a student of social science. When I looked at that, I clearly see that Allahu Akbar, I see all these things which were mentioned by the scholars like Qazi Abu Yusuf, Muhammad al-Shibani, and the book Al-Muhalla and Kitab al-Amwal. We look all these things, but unfortunately we are away from Arabic language. That's why this is a great problem and a problem of Muslim Ummah. Coming back to Professor Waqar, how do you see Mr. Shuja has referred to Quranic law and justice and informal and formal relationship of the community?
In a very common way, I would like to take this point forward by saying that Islam is a way of life. So once you are in the mosque, you are in the family, you are dealing with your younger brother, elder brother, with your wife, with your mother. In what way you have to deal with them, and if you are dealing with the business partner, dealing with the colleague, or dealing with the business, every walk of life, you have to be a Muslim. Yes, 24-hour Muslim.
No diplomacy.
But here, what I'd like to say is that in recent years, because if we talk about the 2 generations back, so any traveler, people used to wait for that if the traveler is coming to his village, and no other place is there. Particularly influentials of the village used to think in that way. The Muslim people, like Zamidars and all that. So they used to think in a way that if somebody is coming, and then we used to wait for the last train to go, and so that if he comes, and then he may be fed and given the bed to sleep, and so that he is not disappointed. So at any time the person who is in the need, they were met by those Muslims. But now the thing the emphasis has changed. It has become more on rituals. They are emphasizing more on the relationship between the one aspect, that is a man to God relationship, that is offering prayers, these. They are,
Alhamdulillah,
of course,
because
Alhamdulillah.
These are the.
But of course, the relationship among the society, within the society, within the institutions, between the institutions, among the people, they are lacking.
Exactly, and
that is the point.
Yeah, exactly, and we are continuing with our discussion, but we have to go for a short break, and we believe, our brothers and sisters, you are with us, and inshallah ta'ala we are coming back soon. Please stay with us. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome back in our program Islam in the Contemporary World, and today we are discussing about Islam and our responsibilities. How Islam helps out an individual, a person who is living in the world, and how beautifully Islam tackles our psychology, our mental approach, our needs, and how a person who is living in this world could be satisfied. This is a major discussion. And naturally, as you know, we have our two important guests here who would be discussing about this great topic. I would request Mr. Sheikh. Islam, naturally, it is a comprehensive religion in the world, and those who are non-Muslims, they are much more interested to know about Islamic values, customs, traditions, and the contribution of great scholars as well as Sufia Karam or spiritual personalities. Let's see, really we are serious to solve the problems of an individual. I'm not talking about only Muslims, I'm talking about humanity.
Okay. If you look at the problems of today's world, you will find, inshallah ta'ala, that we have the solution to all the problems of the individual life as well as collective life according to the Quran and Sunnah. For example, some days back, I received an email from a young fellow, and maybe you have also received that email. The caption was Istaw. When we are in the haram, the imam, he says Istaw, discipline your rules, basically. So a young Muslim, he was sitting with a non-Muslim fellow in America, and that portion of the Taraweeh prayer was telecasted on the television. Before that, they were discussing something, and that young Muslim asked that non-Muslim, just tell me, how long would it take to discipline a row or some rows of 1,000 people? He said 10 minutes maybe, or 15 minutes, for example. He said 10,000. He said more time. What about 10,000 plus 10,000, 20,000? More time. What about 1 million? Much time and much time. He said fine. Then the Taraweeh prayer was started. It was a live telecast, and the Imam said Istaw. That non-Muslim asked, what does it mean? He said Istaw, discipline your rows. And that was an aerial overview of the whole Masjid-e-Haram. There were 2.5 million plus people were performing the Taraweeh prayer. And it just took hardly 10 seconds for the 2.5 million people to just get disciplined in the rows. This is Islam, not in words, rather in practice.
Exactly.
Today we have indiscipline life in our societies. We have injustice, etc., etc. This is one of the examples which can be quoted for our non-Muslim brothers to see that is Islam, not in theory, it is in practice. Likewise, some months back, we all saw in the United States that big banks, they fall down, and the CEOs and the COOs of those banks, they admitted, now we have realized why Islam has prohibited interest. Today, some of the advanced countries in the world, not to name everyone, they are the most indebted countries in the world as well. Why? Because of this interest-based system prevailing in the world. One of the economists in Switzerland, he had to admit, unless we have 0% interest rate economy, we cannot solve our problems. Napoleon once he had to say, if today's ruler is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then we would have the solution for our problems throughout the world, which would be acceptable by all the nations, which would satisfy the needs of all the people in the world.
So needs, I think while we talk of needs, and needs have been defined by social scientists like Karl Marx, he talk of needs. While we look at some other scholars, they talk of Adam Smith. He says so much things about needs and economy and others. But while we make serious researches, they are talking about Islam, but they don't say anything.
Exactly.
They don't refer. Even they, but while look at today's non-Muslim scholars, Dr. Theodore Wright Jr., a well-renowned scholar, he is authority for hadith, and he is from New York, naturally, he is New Yorkian, and his writings have been published and people know about him. While I was with him in a conference, he admitted before the people in Albany Public Library, he said, I think that Islam is the most influential and truth-based religion. If it is known by everybody who is non-Muslim, they would understand reality and nature.
Exactly.
This
Because
is
it's a religion of nature, basically.
exactly. Dr. Waqar, can you share your example about responsibilities, how Muslims used to understand or take this term of responsibility in subcontinent, because you did your PhD from Aligarh Muslim University. Naturally, Aligarh Muslim University is a mother university for Muslim Ummah of subcontinent, and it proved that Pakistan is an output of ideology of two nations theory, and Muslims like Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Allama Iqbal, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and Muhammad Ali Jauhar, so on so far, Allama Abdul Hamid Badayuni, all of them, they were from that zone or period, like from that area, from India, subcontinent. Allama Shabir Ahmad Usmani. How do you see today's world, and what is your experience?
I think this movement, Aligarh movement, was launched by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and he saw the backwardness of the Muslims, because they hated, they were asked not to study English or the modern education system. They were told by their leaders to be away from the modern sources of education, modern way of education. So that's why the Muslims were lagging behind the local Hindu population. So, but of course, the contribution of the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan is in the form of this Aligarh movement, and the Aligarh Muslim University gave the inspiration to Muslims, and acted as a beacon light for progress. And he opened the window for the modern world, and he himself visited the other parts of the world. But I think as rightly emphasized by both of you in the beginning, that Islam is a way of life, and Islam is not only from between Muslim to Muslim, it's for the whole insaniyat, whole just mankind,
whole
humanity.
Yeah.
So whosoever is in the need, whether because this Indian population is mixed, as in Pakistan, we have been taught that we have to be secular, we have no superiority on the basis of the caste, religion, creed. So first statement is, of course, is from our teachings, Islamic teachings. So all teachings are very fundamental, and they are very crucial, and as rightly emphasized by the Shuja Sahib, that the different personalities in the modern history, they have quoted the Islamic preachings. Even Mao, leading the Great Revolution, he said that I have only one thing to say, that it is a long march, and that you have this hot water with you, and then these grams with you, to eat so that you can survive long. So these are the things. So I think we have to revisit the teachings and just start practicing the hukukul ibad and hukukul Allah.
Seeing the realities, Bertrand Russell, when he was talking to Abdul Alim Siddiqui, rahmatullah ta'ala, he mentioned that there is a power of Islam in the world, and I can see from your face. So these are the words, and not only this, only Muslim scholars, there are so many Muslim scholars,
and actually,
who are the source of inspiration and change in the community.
One thing I would like to mention, Professor Qadri, that is because the real Islam was practiced by this Hazrat Nizamuddin Awliya,
Khwajamuddin Chishti rahmatullah alayhi, Bakhtiyar Kaki rahmatullah alayhi.
So I think the Indian population, which converted to Islam, because by observing their actions, their deeds.
And they were ulama, they were scholars, basically
Sufis.
These Sufis, let me mention one thing. There is misunderstanding about the term of tasawwuf or Sufism or Sufi. We take for granted, like anybody who wants to be a Sufi, just he should claim himself that he is Sufi. No, it's not like that. There was a course, a special course for a person who appears to be a salik or seeker. He should go for a true learning process through Sharia. So if he goes for, like Khwajamuddin Chishti rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, Hazrat Khwaja Usman Haruni rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, Hazrat Nizamuddin Awliya rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, these were the scholars who received their proper traditional education. They were a scholar of fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. They were a scholar. They knew they knew about hadith, the sayings of Holy Prophet ﷺ, with proper chain. And they were scholars to know what is tafsir and what kind of hadith should be taken and rejected. So they were very much familiar all these terms, and they were practicing Muslims who knew the importance of Sharia. Unfortunately today we forgot Sharia and we just say, okay, I am Sufi without knowing. So this is a basic condition of tasawwuf, to know Sharia and follow Sharia and be submissive towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the help of these basic sources of Islam. So you mentioned Hazrat Khwaja Nizamuddin Awliya rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi.
Because they were the
friends
model,
of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
They were the model. And just everybody can copy them by just practicing the honesty and the good character, morality, integrity, financial integrity, intellectual, moral, three integrities are there. So this is what Islam.
Mr. Shuja, you think Muslims are facing serious challenges because we don't justify ourselves to go for responsibilities? We haven't understood the term of responsibility, husband towards wife. He doesn't see. Yes, he sees that's to beat, abuse. This is the only thing. And a wife, she wants to enjoy her time watching TV. It's good. But how about education of your kids? Who would read out hadith and Quran for your kids? Taking care of your community, your society, your home and outside, and respect for all. So you think we are facing this problem because we haven't understood the term of Islamic being a part of Muslim Ummah. We haven't understood the term of responsibility.
Exactly. I would like to say that there's a great difference between claiming to be a Muslim and appearing to be a Muslim and then proving to be a Muslim. Knowing something is something different, and having conviction in something is different. We do know about Allah, but the question mark is, do we believe and have conviction in Allah? We do know Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but do we have the conviction that he is the prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We do know and claim that Quran is the best book. As Bernard Shaw said, when I read the Holy Quran, there is no better book in the world. But when I see the Muslims, I'm sorry to say this, there is no worse nation than the Muslims in the world. So there is a great difference between claiming and saying that Quran is the best book, and the other side having conviction that this is the book of guidance. There's a great difference between saying they have the best role model of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the other side Do we have that conviction that that is the best role model in the world? As Quran has said, Surah Al-Ahzab, ayat number 21, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, you have the best role model in the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The dilemma is, we claim but we do not follow.
There is a difference between theory and practice.
Exactly.
And that's why
this is the thing.
Yeah, that's why we are facing such problems. What to be done, Dr. Waqar?
I think if any society which is not based on proper structure, structurally, if the structural defects are there. For example, there is a feudalism here, unequal population, people don't allow the schools to open to function. So all sort of education is discouraged. And I think it was a time of the Sarseed era during that people used to oppose the education, modern education. But Dr. Sahab, I would like to emphasize one thing. But at this point of time, when the television has become so common, and everybody knows in every nook and corner of the world that we have the rights to get educated, to have a good quality of life, and equal life with others, the equal living standard. So earlier it was not possible.
I must mention one thing.
No, Dr. Sahab,
because the term of equality and equity, these are two important terms in the Western world, and naturally, when I was a student of law, I knew the difference between equity and equality, and we looked the best example. Theoretically, everybody can say that this can be found in our system, but while we look at the equity and equality during the era, and today even I say that this is a period of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and always we say that it wouldn't be over, alhamdulillah.
Exactly.
But look at in Medina, the companions who are known as Ashab Sufa, they are sitting with Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq and Umar Farooq radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Usman Ghani and Hazrat Ali, and Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, look, this is equity and equality with my companions. I don't differentiate. Allahu Akbar. What kind of equality? And I don't see this example in any world system. We call it world system. Being a political scientist, I say world system. I don't see this. But Holy Prophet ﷺ proved, while there is lack of communication, lack of knowledge, lack of interest in promoting Islamic culture in the world, this is not fault of Islam. This is fault of the people who are responsible or who have been given this responsibility to convey this message to the world. We were like this, and still we can be like this, but subject to our mental approach and keeping out all sort of our selfish behavior.
No, one thing I'd like to say that you can be a model only that you go shoulder to shoulder with each other.
Exactly.
If you are lagging behind the education, so how you can be model for any other?
Never.
If your quality of life is poor, if your justice is not that proper as is being done in other parts of the world, so how you can progress?
Exactly.
Because it affects every walk of life, at every stage of the person. Right from admission to why the schools are not functioning, why the weaker sections of the population, which are supported by the state, they are not being supported for education. Once they don't have proper education, both modern and in the sense from which they can earn their livelihood, and then the real the tenets of Islam, they are taught. So the problems will remain the same.
Mr. Shuja, problems are there, and naturally we cannot solve. But I believe if we trust in God, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we believe that we can address every serious issue and we would respect others, then inshallah things will be over. And I believe our brothers have completed whatever they were thinking about, but time is very short. And in last, I must say a vote of thanks to both of you, Professor Dr. Waqar Hussain Sahab. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Us. And Mr. Shujabuddin Sheikh, your presence really made a great difference for us. My brothers and sisters, I am thankful to you because you spared your time for such a great task, and I believe the reward would be given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the great authority. the delegated power can be given to anybody, but a true, genuine, absolute power is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He is our greatest witness to our activities, actions. Let's promise ourselves. We are here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for obedience. And this obedience can be done with your help. Allah, help us. Thank you very much. Allah bless all of you. Allah Hafiz. Jazakallah khair.